Good morning and a very warm welcome to all of you who are attending the virtual edition of Storage Developer Conference 2021. Myself, Sridhar Sabisan. I handle the Platform Engineering Division at Western Digital Bangalore. Today I will be talking about redefining data centers and what is happening globally. Let us look at the agenda. We will see what is the storage ecosystem overview, focus areas on storage diversification, what are the factors at play, cold storage, innovations around it, open composable disaggregated infrastructure, CDI highlights, and products around the same, challenges solved by CDI, edge technology, what Western Digital is doing to enable living on the edge, enabling evolution across product streams, and in summary, traversing from data center to edge. Let us look at the storage ecosystem as such. Here we are talking about capacity points at play in x-axis where it is from TB to hundreds of TB to petabyte and zettabyte. And on the y-axis, it's all about performance in terms of latency from microsecond, millisecond to hours. And on the extreme right, it is about data retention in terms of the number of years. To start with, let us take the SSD drives. It can be directly attached in the server, wherein it can be a SATA or a SAS or an NVMe. Now, NVMe drives are greatly getting adopted. The other part is just bunch of flash, where it can again be SAS or NVMe based. When it comes to NVMe, if you add on to the fabric, then you get in the composable disaggregated infrastructure based storage, and this will be almost equal to the direct attached storage. So you can consider that whatever drives are there are almost equally performing up to the local storage. When you need more than half a petabyte or closer to 1 petabyte kind of a solution, then we need to go in for dense CDI storage. And this comes in a condensed form factor. And you can scale in multiples of these petabytes. Going on, if you are looking at the margin between the SSD and the drives, then you get in a combination of both a hybrid JBOD as well as dense hybrid JBOD. Here it is a combination of hard disk and SSDs put together in a just bunch of disk enclosures. There are also the direct attached drives, which are hard disk within the server, and these are not going to go away because of the low cost points. Now, if you're talking about pure JBODs in terms of a hard disk only solution, then the JBODs are there up to around 1 petabyte. You can start scaling from hundreds of TB and then slowly increase the capacity up to 1 petabyte, or you can go in for a dense form factor for up to 2 petabytes because you also have 18 TB and 20 TB drives in the market. Now, you have seen that slowly as we are actually going across the stream, the latency is keeping on increasing. And in terms of the number of years, all of this is catering to 5 years of data retention. Now, if the end customer usage is something more where it is more on the data retention alone, then tape library are there and dense tape library are there. But however, for any particular data to be addressed, it is all in terms of minutes or more than that, in terms of multiples of minutes. Now, if you're talking about 100 years of storage or 100 plus years of storage, then there has been a lot of discussion in terms of the optical based solution and DNA based storage. There is also huge amount of research going on in this particular field, and you might have heard about DNA Storage Alliance, in which Western Digital is one of the major players. So this is in a nutshell about the storage ecosystem, what is at play and what is in store for the future. Let us see the focused areas of storage diversification. Here we will be talking about three focused areas. One is the cold storage, the other is a composable architecture, and the third one is the edge. When we talk about cold storage, the IDC Data Age 2025 reports that there will be a global growth of 30% annual growth rate in terms of data which is getting created. So we are talking about 175 zettabytes by 2025. That is something humongous. Now, we talked about what is the data which is getting created. Now, how about the data which is actually getting stored? In 2019, it was 1.1 zettabyte, and it is expected to be 7.5 zettabytes by 2025, which is a 7x increase. So think of the amount of cooling which is required, maintenance which is required, and also in terms of the total power consumption and all of those particular aspects, right? So it is going to be pretty large. Now, the next one is in terms of composable architecture. Composable architecture gives you the freedom for scaling storage independent of compute. So that is a beauty which today's CAOs are interested, and because it gives you better TCO. So we will talk more in terms of the composability part in the next few slides, but this is one main thing to watch out for. When we are talking about edge, there is a Gartner report which says that only less than 10% of the enterprise data is created outside of a traditional data center or a cloud-based data center. So this can reach up to 75% by 2025, which is something very huge. You are talking 10% on one part and 75% by 2025, which is going to be extremely big scalability. The edge hardware infrastructure market is going to go up to around 17 billion by 2025. So we are going to see in detail more on all of these particular three topics in the next few slides. To start with, in terms of cold storage, what is the major issue which is plaguing the data center? If you see in terms of a conventional enclosure, the cold air which gets blown in from the front is slowly turning into warm air, and it turns to hot air by the time it reaches the rear end of the drive. So this is the number one issue in most of the data centers, wherein you are going to have more drive failures, and you are going to have more thermal issues during peak time. The energy consumption of the data center is going to go up high, because any particular data center is going to have racks and racks of these enclosures. Now, if you are seeing a Western Digital Ultrastar Data 102 or any particular data series or family of enclosures, there is something called as Arctic Flow which comes into play. So this Arctic Flow is a patented technology. It's a three-way cooling technology, wherein whatever cold air is coming in the front is addressed here, and then by the time it turns into hot, it is actually expelled via separate vents out. And there is more zoning which is actually involved, wherein the cold air is catered to the rear end of the drives directly. And there is another particular zone wherein the cold air is gone in and then to the IOM modules, or the expanders which are talking to the drives, and again to the PSUs. So this way you get in a well-balanced thermal map. So if you see on the right, in terms of a conventional map, you can see the drives. Only 41% of the drives are having 45C or less in terms of the temperature. And this is going to be 29% between 45C to 49C, and 30% in the 50 degrees centigrade or more, which is alarming, because you are definitely going to have a higher return rate after 2 or 3 years down the lane. So this is going to cause a lot more concern, because you also need to think of the overall solution aspect and the impact to the overall requirement. So if you think of the Arctic Flow thermal map, this is something like 64% of the drives are 45C or less, and 36% are between 45C and 49C. So this gives a well defined thermal map and less power consumption and energy consumption, and it will also increase the lifespan of the drives. So it is all about mean time between failure if you compare between a conventional enclosure and the Ultrastar data family. So this is going to aid system administrators in a great way, and it had been enabling in a lot more across these years. The next one is in terms of the vibrational aspect. This is another one of the main issues in data centers, because SSD drives are still costlier, and when it is more and more in terms of capacity point, hard disk has actually improved a great lot. And if we are talking about more and more dense capacity, then we are talking about a rotational vibration in a regular conventional enclosure. Let us say if you are having 100 drives in the enclosure, each drive, when it is vibrating, it is going to impact the nearby drives, and the overall performance of the drive is going to get decreased. Now, what IsoVibe does is, it is a patented precision cut technology in the motherboard or in the PCB, wherein each of the drive is having a suspension because of this precision cut, and the nearby vibration aspect is reduced. So with IsoVibe, we can say that we are reducing the overall rotational vibration by around 60%. And a combination of Arctic Flow and IsoVibe has ensured that our annual return rate of the drives in terms of failure rates, it has reduced by around 62%. So this is not going to alter the product warranty. However, this is actually going to benefit both end customer, because system administrators will definitely be happy about it, and also from a manufacturing perspective also, it is less of a headache. So there is a good white paper. I have given the link, you can look at it later. So that is mainly in terms of the cold storage aspect and how Western Digital is trying to solve it. Let us go into open composable disaggregated infrastructure. So what is all this composable architecture story about? In today's world, for converged as well as hyper-converged environment, everyone is at the mercy of the CPU, wherein if you want to scale in storage, you are forced to buy in the servers. So there is a lot of capex cost involved. Now, if you move to the right, it is all about having the fabric into play, and you can scale by adding in the resources separately so that the compute is detached and there is a better utilization of the compute. So it is all about disaggregated resources on a shared fabric is a main keyword when we are saying composable architecture. Now, let us see how what challenges are getting solved. You are also able to see that big data and fast data both are two different extremes, and both are having different kinds of workloads. There are also batch analytics kind of workload, or you might also be seeing in terms of self-driven cars, wherein the AI based workloads are coming into play, or it can be some real-time analytics which is required machine learning part. So the volume of data, the velocity of data, the variety in terms of the different workloads, and the value of data in terms of how critical the data is in terms of performance, latency, and the aspects of it. So there is a diverse set of applications, and the workload diversity is also high, and you are also having a mix of on-prem as well as cloud-based one. So net and net, we are talking about underutilization of the storage capacity if we are not moving to a CDA based environment. So IDC has reported that a total of 45% storage capacity is only used and remaining is not utilized. And again, the same is in terms of the compute hours. So to have a better efficiency, both for compute utilization and freedom for scalability in terms of storage and addressing in all the workloads, best is to go with composable infrastructure. Now let us see the highlights of it. On one part, we have the devices. These are the physically disaggregated devices: storage, compute, network, and memory. Now, if you put in a logical part thought to it, let us see from storage part, it is all about flash and disk. Compute is about CPU, GPU, FPGA. Network is all about data fabric and memory fabric. And in terms of memory, it is DRAM and persistent memory. So these are the logically shared resources, and we can carve out based on the requirement. You can carve out a part of storage, part of compute, part of network, and then form different composites. So how will it look like? This will be look like different virtual machines which are virtualized just by the resources. Consider this analogy. You are going into a restaurant and you are forced to buy a buffet meal. You are not very much hungry and you might be like having a liking of certain food. Now you are going to pay in for the entire buffet without going and eating up all the dishes, whatever is available. So that is what we are talking about. We are talking about an a la carte approach here, wherein you are going to select the food what is needed and you are going to only eat that. So it is all about a better TCO at play and a freedom of choice. A freedom of choice in terms of scalability, whether it is storage or whether it is network and all of the ecosystem players. So the storage part is well advanced in terms of the CDI, but you are also seeing that there are a lot of things happening also on the network front as well. If you think of a traditional based virtualization, a server is there and you are applying a full virtualization or a para virtualization. Again, you are going and then limiting yourself to that particular compute as well. However, in this particular case, we are talking about dissecting the same by resources and talking about individual virtualization. So think about it and you will get in a lot of different virtual system combinations at play. So this is the power of the open composable architecture and what OpenFlex brings on the table. So so OpenFlex is Western Digital's answer to the CDI. There are also other players out in the market. From Western Digital, this is one of the major innovation in terms of vertical integration what has been done. This particular platform is a 2U enclosure NVMe over Fabric JBOF. This is comprised of 24 quantity of data center SN840 device, which are dual ported ones, and you will have around 6 quantity of NVMe over Fabric adapters, which is Western Digital's own RapidFlex. This is a high available box and the drives are dual ported. So it will be providing you higher performance as well as reliability. Now, the backend is a 100 gig Ethernet network and it is purely scalable. This is one solution wherein, however, if you want to go in for a very dense NVMe or Fabric solution, then we are talking about OpenFlex E3000 and F3200 Fabric device. Each of the F3200 Fabric device or the blade will internally have around 8 SN640 mainstream NVMe SSDs. This in combination with NVMe or Fabric adapter forms the Fabric device, which goes in to this particular enclosure. So this is a 3U enclosure and very dense. It has got around 10 fabric device in each of these, so it can scale up to 610 TB. Again, you can carve out a single large namespace out of each fabric device, or you can dissect it into multiple different namespaces. Again, once you connect to the network, you can talk to tens or hundreds or thousands of systems, right? And that is how we are able to bring in a huge scalability seamlessly, irrespective of the compute. So this is the dense part, and now let us go in and then see a couple of examples, one in terms of the parallel file system, and the other in terms of in-memory database, and the third in terms of the object storage based solution. Now if you see a traditional file based storage, the challenge in terms of workload is that the ML based workloads might be different, and data analytics workloads might be different in terms of large file chunks. So if you are thinking about a high performance computing, then the storage will become the bottleneck when it comes in terms of processing. The POC, what has been done is with BGFS. So BGFS is an open source distributed parallel file system. And what you see here is a simplistic artistic view of the POC, wherein the storage servers are there, again connected with the OpenFlex unit across the network. And in case if you are requiring high availability, then you can actually going in for buddy mirroring as such. And with 4 fabric devices, we are able to get 40 gigabytes per second. And again, you can go up to 10 fabric devices. So within the enclosure itself, you can actually scale up to close to around 100 gigabytes per second. Now, when you are talking about in-memory database, Aerospike will definitely come into a picture. So the next POC is on Aerospike, and there was a Aerospike cluster suite which was actually run for benchmarking, and the act result is that for each fabric device we are able to get 1.158 million IOPS, which is topping the charts. You can go and then check this out in the Aerospike website. If you're talking about a cluster bandwidth for 1 million records, we were able to achieve 835K transactions per second. That again is the top of the charts. If you're looking at object storage, we are thinking about large unstructured data which comes into play, because you might be having a lot of media files which are of different things, or it can be different mobile application or applications in terms of wherein the structured data is not being processed. So in this particular case, we are talking about a lower throughput and higher latency. And the solution is that when we checked out MinIO with OpenFlex, we were able to see that MinIO, which is a storage as a service object storage platform, and it is S3 compatible, we were able to achieve in around 24.3 gigabytes per second. So these are some of the solution. In a nutshell, if you see, let us say in terms of in-memory database also, there can be different spikes in terms of the requirement, and with the open composability, we are able to better address them. So multiple examples, there are more. However, scalability, agility, efficiency, everything is being given out by the open composable architecture. Going on, this is an example in terms of the surveillance bottleneck, what you might be seeing in smart cities. One is in terms of the fixed surveillance, the other is in terms of drone, the other is in terms of the public transport. Right. There can also be cases where, let us say, you are analyzing a traffic part wherein you want to read the license number plate, or you want to see a heat map in terms of the airport, or it can be a mall wherein you want to do a face detection, right? So you are talking about AI interference close to the device, wherein the low latency requirements in the edge are ever increasing. So there is a high cost attached to replacing an artificial intelligence camera into the network, because if you want to trade in a regular camera and then replace it by AI, then we are talking about a lot of cost getting involved. So the answer is that you can have in an edge server with an ML accelerator. And again, you can have a combination of the composable infrastructure, or you can go in for a traditional approach also in terms of the Ultrastar data series of family. And with this, you can see that there is no need to going for costly upgrades in the endpoint, wherein you can have the flexible resources being done by the composable infrastructure itself in combination with the MLA. So there is a white paper to it on the MLA part. Talking about edge, the edge is something which is ever increasing. Users in the data center are always expecting very low latency, and when you are talking about a war field like a scenario wherein you are out in a desert and you want your edge compute to form in and give a greater and faster decision in terms of real-time decision making, then we are talking about bringing data processing and users all together at the same time. This is only possible if you have cutting edge edge servers out in the field, and which can survive moderate to extreme environments in the edge. And all of this is actually coining and then giving out to new age edge servers, where there is a need for mobility, security, analytics is there, and high performance. All of these are there because you need to ensure that the compute is surviving in harsh environments, and at the same time during transport there are no issues. Now, Western Digital's answer to that is Ultrastar Edge and Edge MR based transportable ruggedized servers, which can be used for cloud ingest. Now, if you see from a security perspective, these are there is a cryptographic module in it along with the TPM, so it is secure, and it can withstand in shock and vibe, because you might be transporting it in a military vehicle, or you might be putting it in an aircraft and then transporting from one location to another. So it has to withstand the shock and vibe in varied scenarios. And in terms of compute, it should be a compute wherein you are actually having in both the SaaS as well as NVMe solutions, wherein you are able to achieve a very low latency, that too in the edge, because you are able to transport the server itself to the edge. The overall TCO, if you go and see, also will be very good, because if you are utilizing it for one particular purpose, you come back to the data center and then transfer the data and purge any particular data which is not required from one customer to the other customer, and there you go. So you are able to save in a lot of money. So this is actually can be used in multiple different private and public clouds and the cloud service providers, wherein there is a need to transfer in data fast rather than transfer across the fiber, wherein it takes a number of weeks or months to get the as such, depending on the size of the data. So the person can travel on the same day or the next day and then transfer in all the data safely, securely, and in a very portable manner. There are also multiple use cases apart from cloud service providers, like it can also be used for oil and gas exploration kind of a thing, or it can be used for federal purpose, mainly with respect to government agencies, and it can also be used for telecommunication, because that is another particular area where you want the data to be moved in faster. So UltraStar Edge and Edge MR products are the ones which are been tested for military grade standards, and it is FIPS 142 140 level 2 certified, and again IP 32. So this is the new age server which is making a mark. In it, Western Digital is enabling evolution across video surveillance, backup, cloud, and software-defined storage with its varied JBots and hybrid JBots with patented technologies like IsoVibe and Arctic Flow, and bringing a difference in terms of the overall cold storage market, and ensuring that there is higher reliability to the product and ease of use for system administrators, and a worry-free approach. And the next is in terms of the specialized servers, both in terms of dense storage server where compute and storage is packed together, or in terms of the portable solution offerings. The other is in terms of the composable infrastructure, wherein the open composable API is something which can address pretty much in the market for the software composable infrastructure environments, and it can very well coexist with Redfish as well as Swordfish, and ensure the freedom of scalability in terms of storage. Now, if you are looking in a summary, how it will look like from traversing from data center to the edge, it will be having a picture like this, wherein you are having in the cloud data center, and there are edge data center and remote edge, and you are having in the devices, which is phone, automotive, IoT, and IoT based sensors. So if you see here, Western Digital has got varied offerings on the same in terms of embedded flash cards, portable drives, and in terms of remote edge, the purple drives are mainly used in for surveillance, and with the UltraStar Edge and Edge MR based transportable servers, you are able to get in a greater portability on the remote edge. So you can see here that the color coding is also there, wherein we are going right up from the device to the remote edge, and then we are going in for the edge data center, wherein it can be a combination of the platforms which are more dense in nature, and then you are going in for the cloud data center, wherein it can be a combination of the composable architecture, storage server, and the JBots, which can be both regular JBots, or it can be hybrid JBots. So in essence, we are going to see more and more transition towards the edge, more products in the edge, and that is something to watch out for. So in summary, we have seen the cloud storage and the composable part of the story, and multiple different examples of how it can be done, database examples in terms of seamless scalability. And the other thing is in terms of the cold storage, you can see that there are greater benefits when we are using in Western Digital platforms, and with patented technologies like Arctic Flow and IsoVibe, and also in terms of the edge, there are a lot more devices coming in, and edge computing is growing, and that is something mainly to watch out for. Thank you for attending the session, and I'm opening up for questions. Thank you.